Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Beaute Industry Podcast, your online support community for the professional beauty industry, connecting you with educational pieces, innovative industry products, and inspiration from industry experts. I am your host, Founding Director of Beaute Industry, Tamara Shaw. Today we are talking about getting you tax time ready. As we near the end of another financial year, can you believe it? Now is the time to be looking at putting in your tax return, and if your heart skipped a beat when you heard that, don't be alarmed. We have a few helpful tips which will get you tax time ready. A little different to most of our other episodes, but a most important episode to ensure you're making good business practice. We talk figures, allowances, superannuation, and more. Let's talk tax, shall we? First things first, getting your paperwork in order. So having up-to-date records is the most important component of your tax preparation. And now, if you haven't already, is the time to get everything in order. Good record keeping is your best friend for efficient management and will also make your life easier if the ATO asks you any further questions. Tax law actually requires that our records be kept for 5 years, and some of these things should include things such as sales receipt, expense invoices, credit card statements, bank statements, all of your employee records as well. So we're looking at wages, super, tax declarations, contracts, any vehicle records you may have, your list of debitors and creditors, and your asset purchases. Now, if you're like me and paperwork is something that you're not so amazing at, you can obviously keep all your records on paper, but electronically is definitely the easiest to be retrieved. So in our experience, businesses often stumble when they're asked by the tax office to verify transactions by providing supporting records. So with the consequence that even innocent businesses can find themselves stung when they are unable to provide the requested evidence. So make sure everything is being recorded. The best thing is just to keep every single receipt, every single payment, absolutely everything. Keep it in a big file, have it all labeled, and every single time you make a purchase, keep it all in there. At the end of the year, write it down electronically, keep it on a record. That way it's nice and easy. You can print it off, email a PDF straight off to your tax agent. Number 2 is deductions. So we couldn't have touched base on this podcast without mentioning deductions. So that's something that we get asked so much. There are quite a few things that a small business can claim against their taxable income. So we are just going to mention a few quick ones. The list is not exhaustive, but some common deductions include things like advertising and sponsorship. Unfortunately, entertainment does not come under this. So looking at things like costs to promote your brand and gain publicity for your business are definitely deductible and can be claimed. When we're looking at trading stock to hire your staff as well, so things such as advertising on Seek or Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever that may be to gain staff. Take sure to incur that the costs incurred do not fall under the definition of entertainment, as I mentioned, as these are not usually deductible. So things maybe such as, a coffee or anything that really falls under that entertainment in terms of advertising. Bad debts you can claim, which we're going to touch base on in a moment, and what is a bad debt and how to write that off. Borrowed money, so this includes your things such as your registration fees, any commissions you may have paid. And business travel is a huge one. So perhaps you travelled to the Beauty Expo in Sydney last year. You caught a plane there if you were in Melbourne or any other states. You may have popped yourself up in a hotel, obviously fed, wine, dine yourself through this and any industry ticketing and events. So you'll need to record and document all of these particulars. But for travel, for business purposes can usually be claimed. So make sure you've kept all your receipts and your itinerary or your diary, and of course airline tickets. So what you'll need to do is note the nature of the travel, its purpose, where and when and for how long. And look out for any personal activities that are mixed in, as these expenses are not tax deductible. So for example, if you did go to the Beauty Expo in Sydney and decided to shout yourself a little trip to Luna Park during that time, unfortunately this is a personal activity, so therefore this does not fall under your business travel. Car expense can also be claimed, so you can claim a full deduction of any expenses your company car incurs while running a vehicle, either leased or owned, or provided the vehicle is used for business-only purposes. If your business operates as a sole trader or partnership, you can also claim proportions of deductions for vehicle expenses, but they are subject to substantiation rules. In terms of insurance, we can take a look at things like workers' compensation insurance premiums, which can be deductible, and insurance costs of fire, business use cars, public liability, theft, and loss of profits. You can also claim things such as repairs, replacements, and maintenance. So this is the deduction available for the upkeep of machinery, tools, and premises used to produce assessable income, so provided they're not capital cost. These deductions are things like painting, plumbing, electrical maintenance, keeping up to date with your windows, fences, gutterings. Obviously, we have so much machinery in this industry as well. So your LED, your laser machines, if you're using microneedling, plasma pens these days, microdermabrasion, whatever it may be. So this also includes generally fixing defects or repairing or maintaining, but not totally replacing an item. And it doesn't include improvements or work done immediately after acquiring an asset. So just have a look at that there. Also including tax management costs. So managing your business tax affairs can cost you, and you can claim these as deductions. So this includes paying a bookkeeper, having a tax agent prepare, lodge your tax returns, and any activity statements. So attending to a tax audit or the cost of appealing or objecting to an assessment. Also taking a look at home work claims. So if your work is done from home, particularly if you're a home-based business, you can usually claim deductions for expenses such as interest, telephone, insurance, proportion of running expenses like heating, lighting, and cleaning. But this can certainly be a whole nother podcast for a whole nother day. So make sure you do check just with your tax agent on that one further if you're unsure about your homework claims. Our third little tip there is to write off bad debts, which we spoke about. This may come under your deduction. So as a business, you may be entitled to a deduction if you're no longer able to recover amounts your customers owe you. So for this very reason, you may want to review your receivables prior to the 30th of June and determine which accounts you've previously included in your assessable or tax income that have now gone bad, quote unquote. The rules for claiming a deduction for your bad debt are complicated, and you should definitely consult with your tax advisor to ensure that you satisfy all the necessary criteria before determining that a debt is bad. So make sure, once again, you are checking in with your tax agent. Number 4 is to pay your employees superannuation the right way. I have been stung in previous positions where I have realised after years of working that my employer has not paid super. So this is something that is a bit of a touchy one for me, and I can't stress on it enough. It sets your whole life up. So make sure that your employees' super contributions are in order. So you need to pay your employees super on time and in a way that SuperStream is compliant. So you may also want to consider paying the superannuation guarantee amount on wages earned to the employee's superannuation fund late in June, rather than waiting until July, as the super contributions are only deductible when they are paid. So that's one to certainly look out for. I personally find having super paid monthly or quarterly is a really, really easy way to stay up to date and just keep on track with all of your payments. And that way it's not a huge lump sum that you're going, oh my goodness, where am I going to find the cash flow to prepare and pay off all of this super in one go? Last time is number 5, don't miss tax deadlines. So I know that when something is hard or confusing or tricky or scary, we just seem to avoid it. And a lot of the times we can just overlook things and miss the deadlines. So it can be really easy to miss the due dates for lodging your tax return. So pay as you go and business activity statements, so your BAS. Marking these dates in your calendar can certainly save you stress around tax time. The scary thing is, even more scary than lodging it in the first place, is that there may be penalties if you do lodge after the due date. So that's it for us today. A nice, short and sweet one. We could drag on forever about tax, but that's not really interesting to listen to. But certainly just wanted to give you some quick tips and helpful advice in 5 quick ways which you can get ready for tax time. Today's podcast was brought to you with insights from the Commonwealth Bank, H&R Block and the Australian Taxation Office, and should just be used as a guideline as all circumstances are varied and individual results may vary. For the most up-to-date taxation information, you should contact your preferred accountant or tax advisor or take a look at more information on the ATO website. As always, if you have enjoyed this podcast, make sure you subscribe, give us a 5-star rating and share the message with your industry friends and colleagues. Until next time, stay connected and we'll see you on the journey. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 5, all about the tax time. If you've loved today's episode, make sure you tune into next week's episode number 6 with Nancy Abdu from the Australian Dermal and Laser Institute. Until next time, stay connected.